Hi everyone, welcome back to Job One for All. In this video, continuing the paths journey, we are going to talk about how we can resolve the paths. In the previous video, you saw how to normalize, and now we are going to see how to resolve. So basically, resolving is just putting together two paths to get one back. Let's see how it works. Create a new class. Let's call this class path test. Well, we can call it resolve test 01, and we are going to imagine the following scenario. Let's say that we get paths.get home William. As you know, if you do not start the path with either backslash or forward slash, you are working with relative path. So just to make sure that you understand what is relative and what is absolute, for example, I am inside this path. If I want to go to my home using the absolute path, I can use cd and then start with home. Now I am at home, and if I want to use the relative path to get back to dev, I can say go to William and then dev. As you can see, I'm not using the slash before William, so it means that this command should take in consideration the path I'm currently in this case slash home, and this will go to William dev. Now going back again to home, if I want to go from home to dev using the absolute path, what I need to do, cd and then the entire path, William and then dev. So this is the absolute path. Now going back here, we have the relative path, and I will call this dir from directory. Now duplicate this, and let's say that we are getting a file. Let me see here. So let's say that this file, let's move to dev. Just drag and drop. Now let's say that we have that file that's inside dev, and it's called file.txt. And this is my file. As you probably noticed, this does not exist. I mean, based on the relative path inside Java 1 for all, that's the path that is going to work. Basically, the relative path, it's user will and documents DevDojo Java 1 for all. I don't have dev. So basically, I have to resolve this path. I have two, and I would like to resolve these paths. Basically, you call dir.resolve, and you pass another path. That's the file. So this is going to return, let's call resolve, and we can print the result. Ctrl Shift F10, and we have the path resolved. Home, William, dev, file.txt. Basically, the paths are put together, and then you get the whole path where this file is located. But you have to be careful, especially when you are working with absolute paths and relative paths and you try to resolve them. Let's give a couple examples here. Let's say that we have an absolute path. This path doesn't exist, but for Java, that doesn't matter unless we try to create something. So this is absolute. And let's create another one that's relative. The relative will be the dev. And let's create another one that will be file. So let's call this file.txt. File relative. Okay, so these two, they are relatives, and this one is absolute. Let's see how it behaves. Let's say that we have the first one, and I'm trying to get the absolute and resolve with our relative. Well, the result of this, as you probably noticed, will be exactly what we're looking for. Home, William, and then the relative dev. Basically, it got this dev and put here after William. Perfect. Now let's see how it works. The absolute being resolved with file. So even though it is file.txt, for Java that doesn't matter. I'm just getting the file dot, actually this is file relative. Ctrl Shift F10. I'm getting the file.txt. So it's resolving pretty the same way as that because both of them are relatives. Now, if we change the order, let's say that I'm going to get, for example, the relative, and I'm trying to resolve with absolute path. Now, here is where things get interesting. It does not resolve. Every time when you are trying to resolve and the argument you are passing is the absolute path, the return will be the absolute path. Now, if you have a relative and you are trying, for example, to resolve with another relative, then it will work. It will just add the relative to the other relative. And basically, 5 and 6, if we work with file relative, it's exactly the same result. Here being the absolute, and here being the relative. Ctrl Shift F10. As you can see, the one that we are passing the absolute path as argument is just returning the argument, and the one where we are passing the relative, we are just appending to the file relative. So basically that's how it works. In my experience, most of the time when I need to work with files, I already have the entire path. Sometimes I have to search for the path and figure out where the file is, but most of the time I get the entire path and don't have to resolve. But if you need to resolve, at least now you know how to resolve and normalize. So let's continue with more NIO topics in the next video. See you there. Bye.